Global financial markets are, quote, confused right now, according to CNBC, because they have no idea what's coming next, as oil, gold, and government bonds tell completely different stories about what's next for inflation and recession. CNBC couches this all as a great mystery, but the answer is very simple. The Federal Reserve is the 800-pound gorilla, and what it does dominates everything else. Almost makes you wonder if maybe central banks don't actually stabilize an economy, which is their alleged job. Perhaps they are the instability. So first, the data. Two of the most important indicators of recession are oil prices and gold prices. When a recession comes, oil prices crash because a slower economy doesn't use as much oil. So factories might go part-time, people stop taking trips, millions stop driving, perhaps some of them because they don't have a job. In 2008, for example, oil prices plunged 80%. Note that's a big reason for the Fed's so-called victory over inflation over the past year. Oil prices are crashing because oil thinks a recession is coming. Gold, meanwhile, is a hedge against recession as well as inflation. It's the perfect asset for stagflation, in fact. Went up 25-fold in the 1970s. So the inflation part is easy. Gold is limited, so if they print trillions of confetti, gold is worth more measured in confetti. And recession is more about insurance. So recessions typically drop stocks about 40 or 50%, so gold is a good way to wait out the storm. In fact, at the moment, oil prices are crashing and gold is soaring. So gold's up 22% since October of last year. Bitcoin, of course, confirmed that, doubling over the period. While oil prices are down 25% in just the past couple months since September, and they're down almost half since the 2022 peak. So far so clear, recession is coming. The problem is treasuries, government bonds. These are the main way that banks and pensions hold cash, since bonds are like cash, but they actually pay interest. Now, normally if a recession is coming, interest on bonds, the yield, should come down, because people expect that the Fed is going to cut rates to juice the economy. But that's not happening right now. So there are three possibilities. One is that we are really going to get that fairy tale soft landing that Jerome Powell is selling. We soft land, the Fed can keep the rates high, we rebuild. But there are two alternatives that are much darker. The first is stagflation, meaning it's a hard landing, but unlike most recessions, the Fed cannot cut rates because it's afraid of inflation. We'll just have to let everything go to hell and crank out press releases how wonderful things are. The other is actually worse, which is sovereign debt. As in, the market starts hiking yields because it is getting worried that maybe federal debt won't be properly paid. You'll know that happened if they do joint conferences with Jerome Powell whispering sweet nothings, even as Janet Yellen stumbles through her full faith and credit routine. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained. I've argued that our most likely path from here is a repeat of the 1970s, with inflation and recession hitting together. That would send unemployment soaring even as inflation continues sapping what paychecks remain. As for confused markets, whatever way it pans out, a lot of people will lose a lot of money. For that, we can thank a central banker. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.